Okay, let's talk about Kyler Murray, a quarterback who I think has become underrated. I made a most underrated quarterbacks list a little bit ago this offseason, and I put him on that list because I think he was really good last year. And I want to make a video kind of breaking down the many things he did well, also some critiques, and some things he still has to improve upon if he's ever going to take the next step. But yeah, let's get into it, and let's start off with this play, where it's going to be a play action. Kyler's going to run then towards the top of the screen. You see routes are going to be going in that direction, just a rollout, something that makes sense to use with Kyler Murray, right? Because he can throw well on the run, and he can just run well. Murray's going to take the snap, and as of right here, again, runs the play action. Is this open? I mean, this is going to be tough, and it's not going to get you a ton of yards either, so it's a bit difficult. I think some quarterbacks would maybe even throw this football away right here, but Kyler wants to see if he can make this work, so he's going to decide still to throw it. And watch just, again, on the run, really accurate throw. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but hey, you gained 3 or 4 yards right there, and to me, it just goes to show there are plenty of little things Kyler does that maybe will go unnoticed, but let's just be honest, most quarterbacks can't do this consistently. I know it's nothing crazy, but like there are some that can. Mahomes can do it consistently. The top guys can do it consistently, right? But most quarterbacks can do this some of the time. Murray, being a guy who can do this consistently, does help out his offense. It also then helps out in plays like this, where it's going to be a man coverage concept. You see that there is going to be, you have a tight end running more over the middle right here. So again, on paper, this is the route that can often work. When this play begins, you're going to see that right here. Again, is this open? I mean, it's a tough window, and Kyler has pressure in his face, so this is a difficult situation. One of the knocks you'll often hear on Kyler is, well, he doesn't throw well over the middle, but as of right here, watch him be able to make a really accurate throw, and they are going to be able to pick up that big completion. And, while we're on the subject of, well, Kyler Murray, short quarterback, can't throw well over the middle, there was a point early in his career where those numbers weren't great. But again, let's always keep in mind, with quarterback statistics, they are always team statistics, which means that it's not fair to blame it all on the quarterback. You have seen Kyler have good years throwing over the middle. In fact, these are his passing charts from just this past season and how well he threw, further down the field and also, further left or throwing right. You see that he actually did very good at throwing in between the numbers last year. A passer rating of 149.3 on his 3 passes that he threw plus 20 yards there, but also over the middle on 41 passes, still a passer rating of over 120. And while it was the lowest from that 0 to 10 range, it's actually pretty normal. Most quarterbacks have it at their lowest right there. Just logically, there's linemen in the way, and it's not a massive jump or anything like that. So, the fact that he didn't throw any touchdowns in that area is probably the biggest difference in passer rating with that. So ultimately, well, again, you could argue there is a small area where it is a bit of a critique. It's nothing that you should be looking at as a major criticism with Kyler, in my opinion. And also, just something like this, like, he can just make some really good throws. Like, so this is Marvin Harrison Jr. running a route, trying to get towards the corner of the end zone. And again, I just feel like he can make plays that you just don't see quarterbacks making consistently. Watch as, when he takes the snap, he's going to make a really accurate throw, and they're able to pick up that touchdown right there. That's a great play, and that's not something you see a lot of quarterbacks do that often. So that's one of the things I really like about him. He is, in my opinion, a very effective game manager, and that is not all he is. He definitely brings more to the table, as we all know, with his rushing ability. Here's just an example. I don't even need to show you an example. You know that he's a great runner, but I'll show you one anyway. It's fun. Just going to be an option play, but in the NFL, option plays are rarely actually option plays. Usually it's just a fake to the halfback. Kyler keeps it himself towards the top of the screen. Watch as you see he's going to pull the ball back as of right here. Edge rusher definitely bites on this, and as of right now, there is definitely room for Kyler to run, which is never good if you're a defense. Although here he's actually going to do the smart thing, which is he gets the yards that are available, but then slides and makes sure he protects himself. Because again, one of the knocks about Kyler coming out of college was, oh, this guy's 5'10". He's not someone who is a big player. But if you look throughout the history of the NFL and history of quarterbacks, when you look at quarterback injuries, well, it's not actually true that bigger quarterbacks don't get injured. Ben Roethlisberger, was always playing injured. Cam Newton was always playing injured because they had play styles where they took a ton of hits, right? Play style is actually a much bigger indicator of if you'll get injured or not than just how big you are. You know, Joe Burrow has had injuries, well, because he takes a lot of sacks. Lamar Jackson has had injuries because he takes a lot of hits. Kyler has had his injuries, but he does do a good job of protecting himself to try to prevent that, which, again, after those injuries he had earlier, making sure that he protects himself even better now than he used to is important. But now let's go over to some negatives. Because listen, while I do think he is underrated, I don't put him in the top 5 quarterback range, right? And given some of his highlights, maybe some people would. But I do think that the one critique I do have of him that I think is fair is it just does feel like he sometimes will make the bad play and will be a bit inconsistent at times, right? The bad game that he has is significantly worse than a bad game that a lot of other players have, and he doesn't quite play up to the elite level the way some other guys will do, at least not quite as consistently. And let's not beat around the bush. The play you see on your screen is, in my opinion, this was the play that kind of sunk the Cardinals season, where it's a 7-3 game midway through the third quarter. Not ideal that you've only scored 3 points, but hey, if you can convert this 4th down and 1, you'll at least get in field goal range to make it a 1-point game, and obviously you want more than that. It's going to be a designed rollout for Kyler. And you have a player who's going to be starting off blocking, but then running towards, the past the first down marker. Hopefully he can get open. Kyler Murray takes the snap right here, and you're going to see as he rolls out. As of right now, okay, listen, this is a tough play, right? I mean, Kyler is throwing off balance. He's going to have to kind of, not be able to put his whole body into this to make this play work. But also, this is a play we've seen him do a bunch of times, right? I just brought up earlier how consistent he is at throwing off balance. So if this is Jared Goff, okay, well, that's not his specialty. I don't blame him too much. This is Kyler's specialty. You have to make this throw. You have to get this completion. And not only does he not make the throw, he misses this throw. It ends up getting picked and returned for a touchdown, and the Cardinals, who were in position to go up 2 games on the Seahawks for first in the division, this was before the Rams got hot and went on their run. Instead, now they're down 2 scores. They cannot, go up. They're tied. They lost to the Seahawks a couple weeks later, and Kyler didn't play great in that game either, and that was ultimately what sunk the Cardinals. The reality is, he's a bit of a streaky player. He is, and the great games are great. I think that you will get a good handful of those, and to me, I don't need more great games from Kyler. He gives you what you want out of that, but you do need a little bit less of the games that aren't great. You need a little bit more of just good games as well, and turn those bad games into good games, in my opinion, before I'm willing to put him in that top tier range. But I do still think that he gives you those really good games. It's not like he's having bad games left and right. It's just he will give you some of those, and that's why ultimately I still am a Kyler Murray believer. And it's weird, we talk about with some quarterbacks Jordan Love, he's 26 years old. We're like, well, he still has a chance to get better, and part of that is he just hasn't played a ton, right? Kyler Murray's been in the league for forever, it feels like. He's entering his 7th season. But ultimately, he is still just 27 years old. He can still grow and get better as well, right? Guys do get better when they, are in their 20s. Guys get better in their 30s. Tom Brady seemingly got better in his 40s, right? So these things can still happen. There still is room for improvement. And again, I don't know if he needs to improve that much. I think he's still really good. But that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.